Breeders' Cup hero last year and a victor first time out at Royal Ascot, bids to tighten his grip on the sprinting crown. Shalford, one of the most impressive of all winners at Royal Ascot, aims to show that this could be his championship season. They head the betting, but you can argue the case for several others. A cowboy-hatted John McCurrick has got the early prices.
IRL. Now, it's particularly difficult to name an outright favourite. The big money is for Shalford, the popular horse is Sheikh Albadoo, and the bookmakers on the tissue, their forecasts go bottle, each of two, Shalford and Sheikh Albadoo. Now, the next three, each way, people are going in for these. Wolfhound at 11-2, Pursuit of Love 15-2, and Albeo, favourite when third last year's an 8-1 chance. 12-1 Mr. Brooks, and Paris House at a pony, and Tabab a double carpet 33-1. And we have two steamers today. Number 9, Little Bean in the 305, back from 11-2 to 7-2. Little Bean, number 9 in the 305, and despite last night's disaster at Kempton, won at Chepstow in the 7 o'clock. Number 8, Satellimar, 16-1 into half those odds and less Satellimar. Little Bean and Satellimar, they're the steamers, but who's going to be favourite for the July Cup, let alone win it?
The July Cup, the third of the 4 races you bring you live. They're going officially good. 6 in our first at 2:35, 11 in the TNT Aviation Handicap at 3:05, 8 crack sprinters in the July Cup at 3:40, and finally a real handicappers challenge, 20 runners in the Ladbroke Bunbury Cup at 4:10.
Well, this morning, Hills went 10-1 the field in the Bunbury Cup. They did go 9-1 the field in 83, when Mummy's Treasure for Pat Haslam and Lester Piggott won it at 9-1. They've got Ringland in the race today, and the bookmakers on the course are going 9-1 the field, and that's bringing in Desert Splendor, number 17, £3,000 each way at 10-1. Chandler's laid that, and the Lincoln winner High Low at 9-1. Then 10-1 Consigliere, and Mango Manila, Field of Honour and Super Brave. You can get 12-1 Deprecator and Superoo's a 12-1 chance. 14-1 horse like Knight of Mercy and Gentle Hero. They've been third in the race twice, and Ringland. And 20-1 Bar, absolutely wide open handicap. I ask you this question, what price the winner, not coming from those dozen on the caption?
Now, you've heard about being elevated to the peerage, but this is taking it to risky lengths. You see that great crane behind me? At the top of that, our very own John Oaksey. At the risk of blasphemy, a word now from the good Lord above.
Well, it seemed a good idea when they suggested it. In fact, there are 3 reasons why I'm up here. The first is that the engine wasn't strong enough to lift McCurrick. Personally, I think he falsified his weight. He can't really be 20 stone, and added a 10-gallon hat as well. He didn't come, but really, I wanted to get higher than GG, and I've done it. There he is.
Good afternoon, my lord.
The miserable little pleb.
Thank you.
You're all right, GG, are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Lord. Thank you very, very well indeed, yes.
And what we've both got is the most wonderful view of the Bunbury Mile. I don't know how it looks if you're a horse having to gallop up this long, staring stretch, but from here it looks magnificent. And if GG will forgive the praise, I'm amazed at his ability to call huge fields galloping straight towards him. So flattery will get me anywhere. We've already had one race this afternoon, the Child and Company Superlative Stakes. One of 3 races today which feature at least one winner from Royal Ascot. In this case, the Chesham Stakes winner, Humam. We've taken a recording of that and show you how Humam and his rivals got on a little later. Now, the race for dialing the distance today is, as usual, the 3rd on our programme. It's the big one. That means the big one, the July Cup. And the number for you to dial in your idea of the winning distance, that's the distance between the official distance between first and second, is 0891 100 195. 0891 100 195 to dial the distance.
Now the Bahrain Trophy, we're looking a long way away. That's the 1 3/4 start. John Oaksey's being lowered slowly to the ground. You didn't fear for his safety. You might give him a quick whirl later on in the day, but down there at the 1 3/4 start, look, there he is, still clutching to the sides with whitened knuckles. But the Bahrain Trophy, a 1 3/4 from his lordly post, has got 6 runners. Bonnie Scott heads them, £9,500 to the winner. A full list from Graham.
And number 1 is Bonnie Scott. That one's ridden by Frankie Dettori. Number 2, Briar Creek, Ray Cochrane in a white cap. Number 3 for Mog, Michael Roberts. Number 4, Free Transfer. That one ridden by John Reed. Number 5, Goldsmiths Hall, is the mount of Steve Cawthon. And number 6, Rain Rider, ridden by Willie Carson. And they're down at this 1 3/4 start for the Bahrain Trophy. Let's check the odds with John Tyrrel.
Thank you, Graham. And Rain Rider is the 9-4 favourite, opened up at 3-1. Bonnie Scott is 5-2 from 11-4. And Goldsmith Hall now is 100-30, but opened at 2s. Briar Creek 13-2, for Mog 15-2. And Free Transfer, the 50-1 outsider. And now Bonnie Scott has just gone 9-4, joint favourite with Rain Rider. So now we have joint favourites, Rain Rider and Bonnie Scott, both at 9-4.
His way down at the start, reviewing them for us, and probably being pestered by these little scratchy flies that are beginning to creep over everywhere. They're over the heads of Jim McGrath and the curly locks of John Frankham.
That's the one certainty of the afternoon, that we're being pestered by those. But we've got some tremendous racing to look forward to this afternoon, not least this Bahrain Trophy, which features a clash between some up-and-coming horses through graduation races and handicaps, and the likes of Bonnie Scott, who's been in a classic trial. This is Rain Rider, the man of Willie Carson. He's won his last 2 starts, both over 1 3/4, a maiden at Yarmouth, and then a graduation at Salisbury, both in pleasing fashion. He looks a big staying type, and there's probably more progress in him.
Yeah, he's a typical staying horse. He's quite tall, quite leggy, looked particularly well beforehand, moved really well going down to post. Willie Carson rides.
Different type altogether is Bonnie Scott. He's sturdier, more compact, in the centre of picture with Frankie Dettori on in the colours of Lord Weinstock. Well, I was very impressed when this animal took a minor event in good style from Captain Horatius and Bayton last year, but in all truth he hasn't lived up to that promise this season. Luca Kumani says that I and other people have overrated him. He could be right, but on what Bonnie Scott has done this season, i.e. a 5th in the Sandown Classic trial, a 3rd in the Lingfield Derby trial and a 6th in the King Edward VII Stakes, he ought to go close here.
Yeah, he's certainly worth another chance, and maybe this step up in distance will suit him. But he's quite a heavy top horse. He got himself a little bit warm beforehand, and certainly hasn't trained on as well as Bayton. Nice looking horse already in. Free transfer for Full Tuck for Mog just going in. Rain Rider goes there, and Briar Creek, and that's Goldsmith Hall, who's a real out-and-out stayer.
You say that, John, but Jeff Bragg feels that he perhaps didn't quite last home last time at Ascot. He was up with a very strong pace the whole way and weakened. Well, everything weakened in relation to Landowner, and he feels that next year might be the time to run him again over 2 miles, and he thinks 1 3/4 for the time being.
Steve Cawthon in good form, rode a treble last night at Kempton after he'd gone home from riding the winner here. Well, it's a competitive Bahrain Trophy. I know that Jim fancies Bonnie Scott. I think he's got a great chance, but looking at him beforehand, I must admit, I'm watching Rain Rider go to post. He looked particularly well. There's 9-4, the pair of those Goldsmiths, or 100-30 and 13-2 by the others. Let's go and join Graham.
Early pace in the race could come from Briar Creek, who made all winning in good style at Doncaster last time, but it's a handy sort of horse. He doesn't have to make the running. Goldsmiths Hall might be held up to get the trip. Free transfer comes from off the pace, and we've lost Goldsmiths Hall at the start. Well, quite an incredible thing. And Steve Cawthon is on the ground, and the horse is loose, and they're going without him. And it's Rain Rider on the inside of Briar Creek, and probably the saddle slipped on Goldsmiths Hall coming out of the stalls, and there's a very disgruntled, yes, explaining that the saddle did slip as he came out. Well, a treble last night and on the ground and in the first televised race today. The fortunes of racing never better illustrated. So it's Briar Creek leading then. Briar Creek leading from Bonnie Scott in second, and then Rain Rider in third, followed by For Mog and Free Transfer. So let's have a look at Goldsmiths Hall, and it looks as if the saddle has indeed slipped. Well, he is making his way down towards the home straight. It'll be interesting to see if he does actually turn for home when he has the opportunity of doing so, but the pace quite steady. It's Briar Creek leading them by a length and a half to Bonnie Scott, by a length to for Mogg on the outside of Rain Rider, and then free transfer. Came from a long way off the pace when he ran a cracking race at York, don't forget. Slightly up in class here, though, arguably. And so they make the turn, and it's Briar Creek leading. Briar Creek by a length or so, and Goldsmiths Hall is certainly a long way clear of these. The only trouble is Steve Coulthon isn't with him, almost a furlong ahead of these. Goldsmiths Hall, and galloping alone down the centre of the track. There's Goldsmiths Hall on the right, and the others are on the extreme left, of course. So just a question of catching him, I should imagine, at the end of this 1 3/4 trip. But for Mogg, coming up on the outside of Briar Creek, the pace still quite steady. Bonnie Scott in the pale colours showing third, with Rain Rider 4, and Free Transfer and John Reed 5th of the 5. Come down to the 5 furlong marker, and it's still Briar Creek with for Mogg on the outside, and then Bonnie Scott between the pair, Rain Rider on the outside. The tempo is increasing as they come down to the 4, and they're certainly going faster now, and they're catching Goldsmiths Hall. This could cause a little bit of a problem when the horse sees the others and hears the others coming up to him. He might want to join in and play, but it's Bonnie Scott with a run now on the outside of Briar Creek, the white cap, and Bonnie Scott going on the outside of Briar Creek. Rain Rider pushing away in third, and they come down to the 2, and it's Bonnie Scott who has the call, but Briar Creek is getting going again, and Rain Rider, the black and white colours on the outside. That's the loose horse, Goldsmiths Hall, running the rail, but they've just got over a furlong to go, and it's Bonnie Scott in the lead, but Rain Rider is putting in a big finish. This progressive horse is coming to take Bonnie Scott, but Bonnie Scott fights back and finds more. So too Rain Rider. It's a duel to the line, and Rain Rider's going to get there at the line. Rain Rider is the winner from Bonnie Scott second, a break of some 12 to 15 lengths to Briar Creek in third, 5 back to for Mogg, and about 8 or 12 back to Free Transfer. And so the result then of this Bahrain Trophy, it's a win for number 6, Rain Rider, in the colours of Mrs. EMH Ogden White, trained at Arundel by John Dunlop and ridden by Willie Carson. And that is Willie Carson's 67th win of the season. They've caught Goldsmith Hall, I'm pleased to say. That's a bit of luck. And this one is trained at Arundel by John Dunlop. Second horse home is number 1. That's Bonnie Scott, ridden by Frankie Dettori. And you can see there that the saddle has slipped indeed on Goldsmiths Hall and gave Steve Coulthon absolutely no chance whatsoever of staying on board. But Rain Rider, Willie Carson there, driving along in the black and white colours. Bonnie Scott on the left there in the pale colours, Frankie Dettori riding, got first run on the field, came and committed just over 2 out, and then both he and Rain Rider just simply kept notching up gears progressively. But look at the big stride on this horse, Rain Rider, big powerful animal, and came home in good style. Well, the one thing about racing you can guarantee, the only certainty is the uncertainty.
Well, let's have a look at the start of this race. Steve Coulthon on this side on Goldsmiths Hall, and I think the horse must have just ducked to his left as he came out. In fact, yes, I don't know whether the saddle began to slip before the horse went to his right, and it was really lucky that Steve's foot came out of the iron, or he got it out, and took a fall before they got going too much further, and it was good to see him get up. Fortunately, no damage done to either horse or jockey. And in there's Rain Rider coming back, and maybe the loose horse I thought was just helping Bonnie Scott in the closing stages, because he went a good gallop. And looking at it from the camera on the inside of the course, Bonnie Scott at this stage looked as though he'd had the race stolen, had his head down doing everything, but they'd gone quite slowly, and they were quickening it up, and they've come a long way clear of the third horse. But the further they've gone, the closer Rain Rider gets. And as they've come to the line, he's got his head in front, and I've said before, it's always difficult to know just how much horse Willie Carson's got underneath him, but he knows he's got enough, and he's done enough.
It was actually quite a fascinating tactical battle. As we join it here, you can see this is one of a couple of looks Frankie Dettori has over his shoulder, and clearly he thinks he's got the measure of the situation. But I think up the hill, as Graham already stressed, and John just the same, Bonnie Scott's done nothing wrong, And Frankie did have Willie Carson on Rain Rider cooked when he went for home, but the rising ground has helped the big, long striding Rain Rider. Bonnie Scott's run on well. The other horses just stayed on extremely strongly and was almost certainly unsuited by the modest early gallop. He's not a horse. Being a big horse, he doesn't look very coordinated, and he probably took a little bit longer than Bonnie Scott to hit top stride. As he does so, he comes home with a real will, and he's going to make up into a good stayer, I think.
I thought that the loose horse had just helped Bonnie Scott for a while because he was giving him a little bit of a lead, but in the end, it played into the hands of Rain Rider.
And Rain Rider returned the 9-4 joint favourite of 2, back down from 11-4, and beats Bonnie Scott, the other 9-4 joint favourite of 2, back down from 3-1. Briar Creek was third at 13-2. Very strong opposition in the market too. Goldsmiths Hall, who didn't really give punters any sort of a run for their money. That drifted out from 9-4. It did touch 7-2 and closed into 100-30. And I'm sure that Jeff's Rags runner in the next race, Little Bean, will go much better in the market. That's the steamer of the day here at Newmarket, Little Bean. Strong opposition to Goldsmiths Hall. They'll back Little Bean in the next, but because of the opposition to Goldsmiths Hall, the front two in the race closed right down to top of the head, 9-4.
And the full SP with tote returns. First, number 6, Rain Rider, 9-4 joint favourite. Second, number 1, Bonnie Scott, the other 9-4 joint favourite. And third, number 2, Briar Creek, returned at 13-2. The tote paid £2.90 the win. The places 180 and 190. The dual forecast came to £4.60 and 6 rand.
3 minutes, 12.72 seconds. 3 minutes, 12.72.
So an aerial shot of this unsaddling enclosure, not with John Oaksey doing it. Steve Cortland said that a horse just jinked as he came out of the stalls, and off he came. Anyone suggesting the horse went out in the betting because he's going to do that, I should think he ought to be very, very careful. Some large friends of Steve's, including smaller people like myself, will come and punch him on the nose. But a bad start there. But we've got plenty to come, and including the first recording of the first race. That's on next on Channel 4.
It's no good, Ned. You're surrounded. You might as well come on out. I'm giving you a count of 3. 1, 2.
Righto. Nobody move or I eat the Weetabix.
Backman, he's not bluffing.
Right, that's it.
Have you had your Weetabix?
Work with pay, through night and day, you slave for those few extra pounds. With balance, with some, with tax, with none, the Woolwich has a range of accounts. With ups, with downs, with smiles, with frowns, it's time to escape from the grind. And with the Woolwich you've saved, so the way will be paved to leave all your worries behind.
In a changing world, it's good to be with the Woolwich.
Someone's got their eyes on your car. Always leave it secured with your belongings out of sight.
Do your bit to cut air pollution. Walk to a Fiat dealer and buy a new Fiat with a catalytic converter. The Cat comes free, and if you trade in your old car, we'll give you up to £1,000 more than it's worth.
What a breath of fresh air.
And here they are, the fabulous Rye Beaners. 5 delicious varieties all ready to drink and packed with the goodness of vitamin C.
Shavings are pain, scraping and stripping the skin's moisture, which can leave it dry and sore. But now there's Old Spice Sensitive. A gel protects against scraping, and a remarkable aftershave skin conditioner soothes as it replaces lost moisture, making you look and feel great. Old Spice Sensitive. It takes the heat out of shaving.
The Derby winner has won at Royal Ascot for each of the past 2 seasons, and if you're hoping for a hat-trick next year, certainly one of the most likely candidates seemed to be Humam, the Nijinsky colt, who won the Chesham Stakes with Lord President, such an impressive winner here earlier in the week, second behind him. Not at all surprisingly, on the strength of that performance, Humam started favourites for our first race, the Child & Co. Superlative Stakes. Here's how they bet on the others.
Humam, the 6-5 favourite, Arking Glass 7-2, Guy's Way 5-1, and Chemisen 13-2, Timothy Casey on 12s, White Crown a 20-1 chance, and Iameli was at 66-1.
Breakaway then, 7 furlongs the trip, and Shamisen was quickly away in the white jacket with the red and white striped cap. Arking Glass is going with him, and in behind running the rail, White Crown in the yellow cap, Human in the striped cap. Red cap is Guy Swale on the outside, Iameli, with the back marker just being Timothy Casey. Go through the first furlong and a half, and Shamisen and Michael Roberts dictating terms to the rest of the field, with Arking Glass showing second on the outside, taking quite a keen hold, racing freely but well. Running the rail is White Crown and the spotted cap, Human behind that, then Iameli, followed by Gisway, and the back marker still Timothy Casey. Come past the 4, no change up front. Shamisen bowling along in front from Arking Glass showing second. Human's on the outside in third, and then White Crown the rail in 4. And they're past the 3 now. Shamisen leading, but only just. Here comes Arking Glass on the outside. Little to choose between the two. Shamisen by about ahead to Arking Glass, who's really attacking now as they come down to the 2, and Arking Glass just going on. Arking Glass, the leader from Shamisen the rail. Here comes Human, the horse with a noseband on the outside of White Crown. But it's Arking Glass and Padettery going for home now. A length of the good over Human, and back in third is White Crown. And Arking Glass really picking up well and stretching on the ground. Up towards the line, Arking Glass is going to win it. Human flat to the boards, but Arking Glass is the winner. Arking Glass takes it from White Crown in second, Human third.
Well, Henry Cecil calls Arking Glass a sweet little horse. No wonder, after that good performance, Henry hasn't got any very definite plans for him. And I must say, I couldn't see any excuse for Humam, and no excuse, no hard luck story has yet appeared. If it does, of course, we'll tell you later on. Here are the starting prices.
First number 2, Arking Glass at 7-2. Second number 6, White Crown 20-1. And third number 1, Humam, the 6-5 favourite. The tote dividends win 4.90, places 2.10 and £4 exactly. The dual forecast 92.80, and the computer straight forecast 49.75 and 7 rand. And at Redcar, the 2.10 went to number 6, Chaplin's Club at 12-1. Second number 27, Line Street Lil 20-1. Third number 7, Spring High at 14-1. And the fourth horse, number 14, Bobby Bold at 9-1. Number 16, Tailish, was the 9-2 favourite. Non-runners, numbers 1, 2, 3 and 22 and 24 rand. And at Nottingham, the 2.20, won by number 16, Silver Samurai 12-1. Second number 6, Light Hand 2-1 favourite. And third number 8, Shoehorn, returned at 5-1. 21 rand.
Steve Cawthon was the man to follow yesterday evening. He rode 3 winners at the Kempton night meeting, and he was on the favourites in both the last 2 races here after he went off the air. Kantz eventually came roaring home in the Reg Day Memorial, but earlier Cape Wheeler couldn't quite make it all the way.
And it's Cape Weaver just one off the rail with Arjuza in the striped cap of blue and white. Magic Rempoint on the outside, pushed along Rapid Retreat, getting a little bit closer. Well past halfway, and Cape Weaver leading from Magic Rempoint with the orange sleeves. On the outside, Rapid Repeat in the very pale colours. A length and a half back to Lake Pleasant, then running the rail on the inside, Blue Cap Musical Prospect, but just over a furlong to go. And it's Magic Rempoint sharing it now with Cape Weaver. Magic Rempoint, the orange sleeves, Cape Weaver, the white sleeves, off the pace and finishing well. Lake Pleasant with the red cap. It's a 3-horse drive as they go up towards the line. Magic Rempoint, but finishing best of all, Lake Pleasant on the rails and up towards the line. Lake Pleasant steals it on the line from Cape Weaver with Magic Rempoint third. So come down to the 3, and with a white cap, Gay Glint, but running the rail is moving out, who's made a lot of the running so far. On the outside, Mulhouse with a noseband, poised in behind is Kantz, but he's into unknown territory now. The trip might find him out, but he's travelling well. Farsi is pulled for a run on the outside. Magic Secret in pink some way off the pace. Our Aisling won't be winning, but with just over a furlong and a half to go. And it's Mulhouse, but Kantz on the outside are really moving well and with ground-devouring strides. But the bottom weight, it's Mulhouse who's going on. Here comes Kantz with a strong run, and it's Kantz now who's come through to take it up and up to go towards the line. It's Kantz who goes clear. Kantz takes it. It's a close call for second, Mulhouse and Farsi.
Steve Cawthon's with us now. Kantz got the trip very well in the end.
Yeah, he definitely seemed to appreciate the step up in distance. And, you know, he's always been running solid races all along, and it was nice to get his head in front.
A busy old time for you at this stage. How did you get to Kempton? The flight? Or
Flew down, yeah.
And all quite neat when it works like that, presumably? All quite neat when it works like that?
It is. I mean, obviously, you know, most of the jockeys do it every day. I haven't been chasing the title this year, so, I mean, I do it when it's necessary and when I'm going to ride a good horse, but Pat and Mace and them, it's like a normal day's work for them.
Is it a relief for you that you are, in a sense, very much a stakes rider, you're not into that championship tearing around? Is that a bit of a relief this season?
Well, basically, it's been this way for the last 5 years. I mean, as I said, you know, in 1987, Pat and I had a real battle for the whole season, and you know, it was great. But at the end of the year, I was cooked. It took me about 3 months to get over it. So after that stage, I decided that it was, you know, obviously I do my best, and if I could get into the championship race without killing myself, I would. But I don't really see that I can. So I just go along and I make sure that I'm right for the big days. I try to, you know, that's the most important thing to me.
And try and hold yourself together and onto the horse, which didn't actually work in the last race. Goldsmith Hall.
You know,
here we are.
I mean, it's sad because the horse was in really good shape, and I think he would have nearly won even with me on him. But
the gates open.
The gates open. He came out and he hit the right side of the. He sort of hit the right first and then dove left. All my weight went onto the right side of the right stirrup, and it just pulled the saddle around. Hence, my left foot was on top of the horse's back, and I couldn't get my balance back, and I just came off.
Now, some people say, and including a very large, fat member of our team, some people say that because the horse only went a couple of yards, that punters should get their money back. What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's like everything. There's rules. The other day, Henry Cecil had a really nice filly, well fancied, that didn't come out of the stalls at all. You know, I think basically when a horse comes under starter's orders, it's under orders, and if it doesn't, you know, it could jump out and just not run a good race, even if it's got the best form in the race. That doesn't make it win, and just because I fell off today, you know, he might not have won anyway. So I think that you got to have, you know, it's fair enough that when the horse is under orders, I think if the punters lose, unfortunately.
Finally, the big race here, Wolfhound.
You know, he ran a great race at Ascot. This really was his first time at really sprinting. We've always sort of been trying to relax him beforehand to try and get him to stay further, but in the end, we came back to the sprinting, and I thought he ran a terrific race there. I think the 6 furlongs will suit him better. I think it's the right trip for him, and you know, he wasn't that far behind Sheikh Albadou. I had a little bit of trouble early on in the race, so I'm expecting a big run.
The big two won't have it all their own way?
I hope not.
Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Far from me to argue with the great Steve Cawthon, but punters are absolutely outraged, those who back Goldsmiths Hall. They never had a run for their money. And it's quite clear that once the horse comes off under starter's orders, Rule 4 does not apply anymore. Well, why should there be? What does under starter's orders mean? It's a time when they put the flag up. So much can happen immediately after that. We had that O'Donnell's Folly on Tuesday at Pontefract, who died in the stalls after coming under starter's orders. 20 minutes later, the race was run. Punters don't get their money back, and they've backed a dead horse. In fact, in fairness, some bookmakers have paid back the money. Rule 4 should apply as it does in the national hunt racing. If you don't race, you don't win, and you don't lose. Bookmakers and punters would prefer that. It's up the jockey club to say, if you go 10 yards before you fall off, whatever it is, you haven't raced, money back. That's what should happen, whatever Steve Cawthon says. Punters agree with that. Now looking ahead to the July Cup, and this Sheikh Albedo is trying to become the 19th horse to win the King's Stand at Royal Ascot in the July Cup, the 12th to do it in the same season, and in the last 25 years 10 have tried. Elbeo, you remember last year, that won the King's Stand at Royal Ascot, was 5-2 favourite Elbeo for the July Cup and finished only 3rd to Polish Patriot. And before that, Blue Bird was odds on, went behind Ashdal and Last Tycoon in 86. So the last 3 to try it were beaten. Never So Bold completed the double in 85. Habibti failed before that. And of course Marwell in 81. That completed the double, a smashing July Cup when it beat Moore Style, who had won the previous year's July Cup, beat it by 3 lengths. And of course Marwell, the dam of Marling. Salinas and Lochnagar won both in the 70s. And Peter O'Sullivan's Be Friendly there, won at Royal Ascot, the King's Stand, but failed twice here in the July Cup on the firm ground. And before that, Papa Four-Way and Abonant won both races. Really good horse to win both races if they can do it. Just to give you the early show here, the day's steamer, number 9, Little Bean, putting 4-1. They're now showing 7-2 favourite Little Bean from 11-2. That'll run better than Goldsmiths Hall, the other one of Jeff Rags.
If he rabbits on about that once more, I shall personally go and silence him with that silly hat. The TNT Aviation Handicap on next on Channel 4.
I do solemnly swear to do what's right by these 4 walls. I shall arm myself with Dulux weather shield sand-textured paint with its unique ICI durable polymer. I shall not stint, nor skimp, nor corners cut, unlike the bandit who did me guttering. For here shall I stand in days to come and say, I did that.
Totally roasting, dude. I'll get the beakers and cabs. You get the roof up.
That's 12 Esso Tiger tokens for each cap and 10 for each beaker.
Freebie-titious, dude, I got the stuff, man. And I got the roof. Excellent!
Collect Esso Tiger tokens for free Tiger caps and beakers from the Esso collection.
Nothing escapes Agfa Film. Agfa Film captures every detail, bringing those memories back to life in high-definition colour. Nothing escapes Agfa Film.
These whole wheat flakes with bananas and juicy raisins are delicious.
Excuse me, I think you'll find it's bananas, hazelnuts and apples,
No,
right?
darling, apples and raisins.
Don't you mean coconuts, bananas and hazelnuts?
With Kellogg's Fruit and Fibre, you get a different combination of delicious tastes in every bite.
Trouble in the dining room again, Mr. Hardwick?
Nonsense, Ivy. It's the highlight of their day.
Kellogg's Fruit and Fibre. Never the same bite twice.
There are some new faces down at Birdseye Country Club. More imaginative vegetable combinations from Country Club cuisine. Introducing new vegetable and cheese crowns. Light flaky pastry deep filled with tender bird's eye vegetables in a creamy cheese sauce. And new Italian vegetable slices. Your favorite vegetables with a pinch of Italian seasoning in a crunchy sesame and breadcrumb coating. Country Club cuisine from Birdseye. Vegetables you can make a meal of.
All my dogs have always eaten pedigree chum and I've always loved it, but one dog couldn't take the food as it was too rich for him. I tried the improved recipe on all of them, including the dog it didn't suit. It's a very digestible food. He's eating it and enjoying it, and it's doing him just as good as all the other dogs. I was delighted. It shows in their eyes, their coats, their well-being. I recommend the improved recipe pedigree chum for all dogs, even for dogs that found it too rich.
Someone's rocking my dreamboat. Someone's in.
Before you finish pouring the perfect pint of Murphy's, it should be given time to settle.
Peaceful and calm. Suddenly something went wrong.
Preferably undisturbed.
Disturbing a beautiful dream. Give me
Welcome back. 40 minutes to the July Cup, and in the lovely pre-parade ring among the trees which Napoleon's prisoners of war planted, the July Cup runners are parading. We're looking at Mr. Brooks, and here with the blue bandages comes Sheikh Al-Badou, the reigning champion sprinter of the world, I suppose you could call him. He's followed by Pursuit of Love, no bandages. A lot of people are wearing beautiful apricot roses given them by Lord or Lady Howard de Walden in his honour.
But first, the TNT Aviation Handicap. It's 1 mile for 11 runners, headed by Majbor. Here's the list.
Matchball ridden by Willie Carson and drawn 4. Number 2 is Sharty, ridden by Richard Hills. He wears a red cap. Number 3, Big Leap, Frankie Dettori. Number 4 is Shogi, Walter Swinburne. And number 5, F. Haristo by Michael Roberts. Number 6 is Riskmaster, the mount of Tony McGlone. Number 7, Wellington Rock, Pat Edery. Number 8 is Grand Vitesse, ridden by John Reed. Number 9, Little Bean, Ray Cochrane rides. Number 10, Trial Times, Emma O'Gorman is the rider of this one. She claims a £3 allowance. Number 11, Lord Vivian, the mount of Francis Norton. He too claims £3 allowance. They're down at the start. Let's check the odds.
Little Bean, the 7-2 favourite, opened at 4-1. Faristo is 5-1 back from 11-2. And Wellington Rock a 6-1 chance from 11-2. Grand Vitesse also on the 6-1 mark. Big Leap steady at 8. And Shoji another 8-1 shot. Riskmaster is 10-1, opened at 8-1. Lord Vivian is 14s, back from 16s. Sharty shows at 16-1. Majbur on 20s, along with Trial Times, and they're all quoted.
Well, a real tricky handicap here. A lot of people think that Little Bean provides the answer to it. There he is, Ray Cochrane riding for Jeff Ragg. We saw this colt make his debut on Channel 4 when he was second in a maiden on the Rowley Mile course with Wellington Rock behind him. And Wellington Rock, although he's won 2 races since, they're basically egg and spoon affairs, and I'm amazed he's set to give this horse weight. But that's the way it is. Little Bean then went on to win a maiden of no real significance at Yarmouth, then was thrown in at the deep end, so to speak, in the Britannia. Only 7th that day, John, but probably still a bit green.
He was 7th for the Faristo, and as Jeff Ragg was saying, he wasn't particularly well drawn on that occasion. He's a nice-looking horse, a little bit of a playboy in many ways. I noticed him when he had his first run over on the Rowley Mile, of course. He had his mind on everything else but the job, and he still ran a smashing race. And although he's a little bit that way inclined, he certainly seems to buckle down to the job when he's actually in the race itself. Much happier once the jockey's on his back and proceedings are getting underway. Let's have a look at Ifaristo now, who he finished behind at Ascot, and he's really come good, this horse, since he won at Epsom. He's not very big, he's very compact, but he's a tough little customer, and he fought on really well when he won at Epsom, and he did exactly the same again. Really, just won in the last few strides at Ascot.
Clive Britton told a very interesting tale about this the other day. He said that this horse was miserable and disappointing for most of his career, and then just by chance they changed boxes on him. They moved him to a box where he was in the main yard and seeing action that was going on all the time. He said the horse immediately began to do better and eat his food better, changed his whole outlook, he worked better, and as a result his form has picked up enormously.
Well, certainly makes a difference. There's Shogi, who'd have a chance on some of his best form, this horse. And he ran last time out, Shogi, at Newcastle, and ran well just behind Piggott. And if you look at form through Sharpter, then I think he's got a good chance.
Yeah, he's a horse who's very well suited by today's conditions. Got a little bit warm, and he has run badly when he's sweated up in the past, but it is a very muggy day today, and considering it's that muggy, he's not that warm, if you see what I mean. But a couple of times early in the season, he sweated up on cool days and ran poorly.
Quite a few more left to go in.
There's a splendidly tough Grand Vitesse, the mount of John Reed riding for Richard Hannon. This horse ran 6th in the Britannia, staying on well. I would think if he's going to win here, John will have to make plenty of use of him. He looks the sort that really, or he gives you the impression that maybe even further would suit John.
Yeah, he made most of the running in that Britannia handicap at Ascot. I'm sure, as you said, he'll be doing the same again this afternoon. But I'm not totally certain whether he does want further or not. Anyway, got 3 or 4 left to go in. Let's have some late news from Mac.
Money for the Britannia Stakes winner at Royal Ascot, Efaristo, from 11-2 into 9-2. But since 1980, all 6 Britannia Stakes winners to run here have been beaten. The Steamer being king, very strong, 4-1, 7-2 the Steamer. It was 11-2 in the officer this morning, 6-1 Bar 2, Wellington Rock and Grand Vitesse. But the Steamer, Little Bean, and they're backing Efaristo as well.
So our Little Bean in the ring is telling us that Little Bean's a thing to be on. We haven't really mentioned Wellington Rock. He's installed. He probably delayed the proceedings because he was taken down very quietly, but an interesting horse and one on the upgrade.
And a possible front runner to boot. Pace from Grand Vitesse and Trial Times will be on the left, and Riskmaster on the rails on the right are the 3 that have forced the pace in their previous races. And Grand Vitesse is also up with the pace, and well, should be on the outside, and is. Also Efaristo showing pace, and Shogi, and also Lord Vivian. They've come to the first furlong and a half. Running the rail, Riskmaster, Lord Vivian with the hoop sleeves. Shogi tucked away on the rail. Efaristo the green cap. Red cap, the rail in behind them is Big Leap, followed through by Little Bean. Trial Times on the outside in stripes, followed by Grand Vitesse. And it's Riskmaster leading at the end of the first quarter mile. Riskmaster the rail in the yellow jacket. Lord Vivian on the outside, Efaristo out wide, wider still with the black sleeves, that's Trial Times. Tucked in behind them is Shati and Majbour, with Shogi followed through by Big Leap. And just struggling to go the pace, Wellington Rock, and they're past halfway. Wellington Rock in the pale straw jacket on the extreme left of the picture, just starting to pick up. Little Bean is nearer last and first, and he's going to have to come wide, possibly. They've passed the 3 to come with a run. Down to the 2 then, and it's Trial Times on the outside in the bumblebee stripes, pressing on the outside. Lord Vivian with the hoop sleeves. They come down to the 2, these 2 dueling. Efaristo, Wellington Rock picking up nicely in the very pale jacket. Shati follows up one through. Little Bean with a bit of running to do. And Efaristo comes to join the front rank. They come down to the final furlong. But Big Leap has come through on the rails. Big Leap, the rail runner, Efaristo, and from nowhere Little Bean has come to bounce, and inside the final half furlong, it's Little Bean who's going to get there. Little Bean wins it tidily in the end, a photo second. Efaristo and Big Leap very close for second and third. Lord Vivian in 4, then Wellington Rock and Trial Times, followed by Grand Vitesse, and behind Grand Vitesse was Shati, followed by Majbour. A big break to Shogi, who ran disappointingly, and Riskmaster dropped out to be last of all. And so the result then of this, the TNT Aviation Handicap, one horse that certainly flew home was our winner, horse number 9, Little Bean, in the colours of Sir Philip Oppenheimer, trained here at Newmarket by Jeff Ragg, splendidly ridden by Ray Cochrane, a long way off the pace, came wide to deliver his challenge, and it's a very close call indeed between Efaristo in the green cap and running the rail, Big Leap, the red cap. Well, as they came up the hill to home, look for the winner, 4 from the left in the red cap with the noseband. That's Little Bean. He came with a big late run to collar Efaristo, the man of Michael Roberts, who I'm sure felt that he was going to have another winner under his belt. But Big Leap certainly came into the argument. That's the rail runner, and it's a 3-horse war now as they go up towards the line. But it's a war that Little Bean is going to win, and Ray Cochrane looked around and really has the measure of them. The winning margin will be under a length, but it's certainly value for a lot more.
Well, here you can see the slings and arrows of a jockey's fortune here, because Ray Cochrane isn't in a good position at the minute, and 9 times out of 10 when this happens, riders in the stand say, oh, he's got it into trouble, oh, he's done this, oh, he's done that, and a jockey has to make a split-second decision. Does he sit and suffer and hope a gap comes, or does he come round, take the chance that he loses momentum and ground and doesn't get there? Ray opted for the former. He sat still and he waited, and then, lo and behold, a furlong from home, a gap like the Red Sea opened up.
Yeah, certainly Wellington Rock dropped back and allowed Little Bean to come through, and Ray Cochrane, nobody stronger than him in a finish. A really good, exciting finish. There's 3 horses, they all had a chance. Efaristo on the far side, and they almost fought back just a little bit in the closing stages, but Little Bean was just too good.
And you're absolutely right, Jimbo. The punters down here at about 2 furlongs out were really saying, what is Cochrane doing on Little Bean, and pointing it out, and really thought they'd done their money. But Cochrane knew, got it right on the day steamer, returned the 4-1 joint favourite of 2. It was an 11-2 chance in the offices this morning. It was clear favourite throughout proceedings until right at the death, when they came for Evaristo and they closed that one down to 4-1, joint favourite of 2, and that's involved in the photo for second. The third could be Big Leap and 8-1 chance. But that little been a terrific steamer, despite the uncomplimentary things being said about poor old Ray Cochrane during the running of the race. And just to remind you, the 7 o'clock at Chepstow tonight, the second one of the day is 8 Sir Telemar. He's been back from 16-1 down to about 7-1, Sir Telemar. Hope he runs better than Lady of Sardinia, a steamer yesterday at Campton who was only 7th and ran a terrible race. But Little Bean, 4-1 joint favourite of 2. We steamer followers never lost faith in Cochrane.
Well, I should think absolutely not, because having made the decision, let's give the bloke 10 out of 10 for making the right decision. Something that happens at 35 miles an hour. John, I suppose it happens the same in jump racing, although they're not the same pace. You get a split second to make a decision, and if you make it right, you're a hero. Ray did that.
Yes, the time is much more critical on the flats, and I just hope that all those people who were cursing him with a couple of furlongs to run are big enough to say, well done, he did right, and when things go wrong on another occasion, they remember this one. Well, let's have a look, because it's worth watching again, as Evaristo in the green cap is making the best of his way home. He's being tracked over on the left, Wellington Rock, who, remember, finished just behind Little Bean and was a couple of lengths behind him before we picked this VT up. And let's just have a look, because 3 really good jockeys, different styles, contrasting styles. We've got on the right just behind Evaristo, just beginning to go away, is Trial Times. The brown colours on this side in the green colours with a red hat is Frankie Dettori, and now coming to challenge Ray Cochrane. Slightly more upright style in the middle of Michael Roberts, whereas Ray Cochrane and Frankie Dettori head down punching all the way, and at the end Ray Cochrane just able to afford himself a look over his shoulder.
Little Bean by Adjdal, who won the July Cup so brilliantly here. Well, this horse doesn't quite have his speed, but he's a pretty decent horse on his day. He won 2 of his 4 races, and he'll be going to Redcar, no doubt, some stage soon, but it had to be a big one for him now. Here's the result this afternoon.
A 2:45 at Redcar, won by number 4, Persian Brave, 5-4 on favourite. Second, number 1, Tierman Island, 11-4. And third, number 2, MHE, Me and Les, at 12-1, 6 ram. At Nottingham, the 2:55, won by number 7, Miss Pinup, 4-1 favourite. Second, number 14, Gaming, 15-2. Third, number 13, Lawton Lady, 16-1. And third, number 9, Kadauri, at 11-1, 16 ran.
The judges called for a further photograph for this second and third placings. Get the old magnificent magnifying glass out. It's not quite like that. But while he's studying that, and while we get ourselves ready for the big one of the day, 8 Blazing Speed Star in the July Cup, we'll take a break.
There's 53 Rosalie Avenue, Daventry, Hilltop, Hillrise, Mill Green, Aberdeen, Dunroman, Home Sweet Home, and Broadstairs, Smallstairs, Flatstairs, and Aberdare, Treetop, Seaview, Shaynew, 22, Mews in Catford, Bungalows, and Walthamstow.
Do you have a nice view? Let's be Avenue, number 8, Harrogate, Patio, Garden Gate, Thatch near Hatchin, Cul-de-sac and Crouchin, Timber frame, window frame.
Dunroman again.
2 up,
2 down.
Anywhere, any town, same as in suburbia, couldn't be suburbia.
Front door, back door, black door, greenhouse, new house, happy home in High Street, my street, another Dunroman.
We've helped millions of people buy their homes, nationwide. With more branches than anyone else, we're the nation's building society.
Check the cap on your Lucozade bottle to see if you've won a Vauxhall Astra exclusive.
All my dogs have always eaten pedigree chum, and I've always loved it. But one dog couldn't take the food as it was too rich for him. I tried the improved recipe on all of them, including the dog it didn't suit. It's a very digestible food. He's eating it and enjoying it, and it's doing him just as good as all the other dogs. I was delighted. It shows in their eyes, their coats, their well-being. I recommend the improved recipe pedigree chum for all dogs, even for dogs that found it too rich.
We know you're out there, boy! Come and get me!
Why, he could be anywhere, Sheriff.
Flush him out. Kellogg's Crunchy Nut Cornflakes encrusted with honey, nuts and brown sugar.
I'm coming down.
And I'm coming down, too.
Kellogg's Crunchy Nut Cornflakes. The trouble is they taste too good.
OK, who didn't fill the petrol can? Simon?
At least we haven't run out of coffee.
Glorious country air. Nah, coffee.
Nescafe.
That's what I said. Coffee at its best. Marvellous. Kathy,
Yes, Adam.
would you like me to take you away from all this?
Nescafe. Why shouldn't life be this good?
X extra strong mints. Can you handle them?
Totally roasting, dude. I'll get the beakers and cabs. You get the roof on.
That's 12 Echo Tiger tokens for each cap and 10 for each beaker.
Freebie-titious, dudette. I got the stuff, man. And I got the roof. Excellent!
Collect Esso Tiger tokens for free Tiger caps and beakers from the Esso collection.
Welcome back to Newmarket with an SP from Redker, the 315, won by number 5, Young Jason, at 12-1. Second, number 1, Gibran, 33-1. And third, number 3, Martini Executive at 4-1. Top scale, the 11-4 favourite, and 7 round.
It may not be sunny, but it's wonderfully warm, almost bordering on the uncomfortably warm here. And we're into the shirt sleeves. Not actually into the Great British torso too much, I'm pleased to tell you. And some people don't feel the heat. Quite sure where he's got to. I hope he's under some sort of control, though, because these horses will be coming extremely fast as they come blazing up the straight. They'll be hitting 35, at moments nearly 40 miles an hour. Half a ton of horse flesh. The fastest weight-carrying creature the world's ever seen, which is an interesting thought. But for this race, you can win £100. 3 of you can win £100. The dial the distance competition is on this one. Guess the winning distance between the first and the second, officially from the judge, and phone 0891 100 195. That's 0891 100 195. 3 £100 winners to be announced for the end of the programme. So the big one coming up now, the July Cup, and the challenge for Alex Scott as he steers Sheikh Albadoo towards the big prizes in the sprinting game is a really fascinating one. Derek visited him yesterday morning while some of his other horses were preparing to puff around the swimming pool. And I asked him first why Sheikh Albadoo hadn't been able to run from the Breeders' Cup until winning the King's Stands at Royal Ascot.
He came back from the Breeders' Cup and we gave him a month easy, and our plan for this year was to probably have one run before Royal Ascot. But we ran into a couple of little problems in the winter, so we had to ease him off in February, and it meant we couldn't start counting until April, so it just set us back a little bit.
And how surprised were you with the manner of his victory in the King's Stand?
Well, we were very pleased by the King's Stand, because obviously coming back first time into a race like that, I don't think a horse has won the King's Stand first time out for a long time. And there were some good horses, obviously ones that we're reopposing in the July Cup. And we were very hopeful because his work had been sharp and we felt he was fit. But first time back, one's got anxious moments, and we were that was made worse because we had a little scare with a foot 2 days before. So I was more scared about the foot than I was about how he was going to run in the race. But very pleased that he won, and Walter felt he won fairly well.
And how's he come on since then? I mean, he certainly looks good on the gallops. He's moving well.
Yeah, he's in very good heart. He worked last Friday with a good lead horse we've got, and went 5.5 furlongs, and he quickened up really well, and he's definitely sharpened up from Ascot, and probably tightened up a little bit. He lost about 8 or 9 kilos, 10 kilos from Ascot, and he's put sort of a third of that back on, and that's probably got his weight about right.
How difficult is it having such a fast horse in the stable? I suppose it's difficult trying to get horses to go with him, isn't it?
Sure. Well, they won't go with him. They might be able to lead him for a bit. We've got 1 or 2 fast horses. We're lucky enough. We've got 2 horses that don't run anymore, both owned by Gainsborough Stud. A horse that we had that was placed in the gimcrack and has always been a good workhorse, slightly disappointing on the track. He's very useful. And a horse that Clive Britton kindly let me have in the winter of last year, specifically for this horse, called Step High. And so those 2 are going to be doing the bulk of the work.
So if we can get past those 2, he's obviously in
Yeah.
good form.
Oh, yeah.
What about the dangers? Obviously, Shalford is the horse you must be worried about.
Yes, I mean, Shalford we haven't run against this year. We ran against him once last year at Haydock. We beat him. We were second to Polar Falcon in a good time. And we were a fair way in front of Shalford. But it would appear that Shalford's progressed this year. He's certainly been more consistent, whether that's because there's more spacing between his races. But he ran a disappointing race at Haydock. I don't know if there's a reason for that. But his win at Ascot was impressive, although the form has to be questioned, but the time was good. Pursuit of Love is a horse I think that Henry Cecil thinks a lot of. Hasn't had everything to his liking this year. Whether the 6 will just be sharp enough for him, we'll see. And we've beaten the others. I mean, I would be disappointed if horses out of the King's Stand were to beat him, really, because they'd all had races. And this is our better trip. 6 is much better than 5. I mean, we've never felt he was a 5 furlong horse. He's won the only 2 times he's run over 5, a Group 1 and a Group 2. Shalford is obviously progressing, but Sheikh Albadou is a proven horse.
What about, just looking back, after looking ahead, to the Breeders' Cup last November, at Kentucky? Do you think you received the credit that was due after the horse became, well, only the 2nd English trainer ever to win a Breeders' Cup race?
Well, it would be obvious to understand why Arazzi slightly overshadowed us. I mean, at the time, well, after the race, everyone was very pleased at the track, and I think all the English supporters were very excited, albeit it blew a few jackpots out. But no, Arazzi was bound to take the limelight by his astonishing performance. But we were somewhat surprised that the television crews in America or in England afterwards didn't find the time to give us a little bit of an interview to say what had happened. But it doesn't matter. The horse does the talking.
Listen, slap me on the wrist. I'll put this in specially for you. Here it is again. We'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Coming up now.
Thank you.
Sheikh Albadou's in 4th and getting a bit closer as they start the turn into the home straight. They've got just over a quarter of a mile to go. And through on the outside comes Housebuster. And it's Housebuster now who's pressing media plan. And it's the red-hot favourite Housebuster. Sheikh Albadou is opening up and coming with a great stretch down the outside. And Sheikh Albadou's come to take the race. They come inside the final furlong. And Sheikh Albadou's come to take it. It's quickly gone too clear. The red-hot favourite's clocked. It's going to be Sheikh Albadou and Paterie who strike in the sprint. And at the line, Sheikh Albadou is the winner.
And there's Sheikh Albadou, that unbelievable win in the Breeders' Cup, the hardest race in the world to win on the dirt, to beat those American crack sprinters, and Sheikh Albadou did it. And Alex Scott, his trainer, were interviewing him. Tomo was interviewing him just before that. The only trainer of the trainers in this race ever to have trained the winner of the July Cup here, Cadeau Genera, 3 years ago. And Sheikh Albadou is now certain to go off favourite. The public have got going into Sheikh Albadou from 2 to 1 into 7 to 4. Sheikh Albadou. Shalford out from 2 to 1 out of 5 to 2, and it's then 6 to 1 bar the 2. Sheikh Albadou favourite.
Well, Sheikh Albadou may have the Group 1 successes on the board, but one has to say it's Shalford who's really caught the eye this season. He was devastating at Royal Ascot. Remember what he did to Mr. Brooks at York and how close that horse had been to Sheikh Albadou at Ascot.
They're inside the final quarter mile now, and it's Shalford by about a length to Mr. Brooks. Amigo Minor picks up, Norwich fades. They're inside the final furlong, and Shalford has got the legs of them. And it's Shalford clear by 3 inside the final furlong, and Shalford scoots clear of Mr. Brooks up towards the line. Shalford wins it hard held at the end.
We looked at the big two, but when we go down the card, these are all fast horses, all with good performances already to their credit, and a really great one perhaps in the offing. 8 runners for a really cracking July Cup, 6 furlongs, Group 1, the highest class of all, a list from Graham.
And they've won 36 races and over £1.25 million in win and place prize money. Number 1, Elbio, drawn 5. That's the mount of Frankie Dettori. Number 2 at 6 is ridden by Lester Piggott. Number 3 at 1, Michael Roberts has the rail. Number 4, Sheikh Albadou at 7, Walter Swinburne out wide. Number 5, Tabab at 3, Bruce Raymond. Number 6, Paris House at 2, John Carroll. Number 7, Pursuit of Love at 4, Pat Edery. And number 8, Wolfhound at 8, the mount of Steve Cawthon.
And here's how they bet. Sheikh Albadou is 7-4 favourite from 2-1, and Shelford out to 5-2, opened at 2s. Wolfhound 6-1 from 11-2, and Pursuit of Love 8-1 from 7s. Elbio's out to 10-1, again opened on the 7-1 mark, and Mr. Brooks steady on 12s. Paris House is 33-1, and Tabab, the outsider, 40-1. And now a confirmation of the result of the 3:05 race here at Newmarket. The winner, number 9, Little Bean, 4-1 joint favourite. And the places were a dead heat between number 3, Big Leap at 8-1, and number 5, Ifaristo, the other 4-1 joint favourite, 11 ram.
Well, Shalford looks the calmest of these in the preliminaries. He's walked round almost lethargically with his head down. I haven't recalled him doing that before. Equally, he's not a free sweater. He seems to be better than ever this year. He's had 4 races, won 3 of them by an aggregate of 13.5 lengths, and he's shattered 2 track records. So whatever one says about Sheikh Albadou, and I have every respect for him as a top-class horse, there's no doubt that Shalford, although he hasn't got a Group 1 tag next to any of those performances, is well up to the standard required to win a race of this nature in an average year. Well, Shalford looks calm and relaxed. Certainly the best-looking horse in the paddock, to my way of thinking, is Pursuit of Love. He's a really bonny individual. There he is, strong, deep through.
He looks more like a sprinter as well, doesn't he, Jim?
Well, he's actually from a very fast female line, John, but he hasn't disgraced himself by any means over 7 furlongs and a mile. I just wonder whether he's got the change of pace that a horse coming back from that trip needs to have. Do you think he has?
Well, my view is I went back and watched him when he ran well when he was second over 7 furlongs behind Prince Ferdinand. He was definitely going better than anything at the 6 furlong mark. It's just a question whether he's going to keep tabs on them or not. If he does, then I think he could run really well. He was a good price early this morning, but quite a few people have been into him each way. Looks really in good form with himself.
Sheikh Albadou and Walter Swinburne just organising themselves in the parade. We've had this argument many times on Channel 4 before. I don't see the point of parades, particularly with sprinters. The great argument, of course, from those who accuse the likes of me of being elitist, is that it gives the people who can't afford to come in the main ring a chance to see the horses. But I think I have no hesitation in scoffing at that argument, because very, very rarely does the parade go down to the silver ring, so the people that pay very little money don't see them. Fortunately, in the main, most of these sprinters are relatively calm. Paris House on his toes a little bit, but in some years you get them like coiled springs almost, and I think it's most unfair when they know what's coming up to delay the inevitable. And it doesn't help the people that have backed them either.
No, I think that the sprinters, in actual fact, are less affected by a parade than a lot of horses. They tend to be either very relaxed. I've said before, they've got 2 ways of going. They're either very quiet and just hack down to the start quietly and behave themselves, or they're going very quick indeed. I just think it's a shame that in 1992 that you pay to come races and you can't actually come at this end to see the horses walking round in the parade ring. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the others. Let's have a look at a lovely looking chestnut colt of Nureyev now. That's Wolfhound. And he, like a lot of these, ran in the King's Stand State. Lovely horse, this. But if you look right back through to his early form this season and you fancy Wolfhound, there was a lot of money, you heard John McCrick saying earlier on, then you've got a fancy Pursuit of Love as well.
So they come out onto the track. That's Mr. Brooks walking through, Mr. Piggott, just preceded by LBO and Frankie Dettori. Mr. Brooks, a winner of 5 of his 16 races. Then the next horse to come out, this is Shalford in the very pale blue jacket. Michael Roberts rides, the leading rider of the season. Shalford, a winner of 7 of his 22 races. He's home on all sorts of trips and ground. A competent sprinter. And then the great Sheikh Al Badou, arguably the champion sprinter. Walter Swinburne rides. Sheikh Al Badou wins 5 of his 10 races, 50% strike rate. Great performance, that. Sheikh Al Badou, good-looking horse. Then Tabab, run as recently as last Saturday. He's a bit keen for Bruce Raymond in the blue jacket. And then the grey Paris House. Hasn't really got to grips with this season yet, but there's a lot of the season to go. And 6 furlongs. Well, arguably as far as he wants to go, John Carroll rides the Jack Berry runner, who's won 7 of his 12. In the apricot jacket there, that's Pursuit of Love, Pat Edery, a winner of 2 of his 7 races, and Wolfhound, the least experienced, a winner of 2 of his 4 races.
Well, I was trying to make out that the people in the silver ring couldn't come up to the paddock. Of course, they can't come into the members, of what I was saying. They actually walk far enough down the course so that everybody gets a good chance to have a look at them. Shelford being led down there. And you can see, just in the background, Tabab just getting on his toes a little bit. Sheikh Al Badou and Shelford both very relaxed indeed. Paris House. Jim, you said he's got a drop noseband.
Yeah,
on.
he's not been ridden in that before, Paris House. I know Jack Berry said at the start of the year that they try and relax the horse more in the early stages of his races. I'm pretty sure he's got a drop noseband on, the noseband below the bit today to help keep that bit right up in his mouth and make sure John Carroll has plenty of control.
It's actually quite difficult. The drop noseband might make a little bit of difference, but these horses are going along at such a clip that it'll only make a very slight bit of difference.
And you can see that they're turning there long before the bottom of the silver ring. John Carroll, who got a good ride later on in the afternoon as well in the big handicap of the day, the Ladbroke Bunbury Cup on Super Brave. Frankie Dettori on LBO. Let's have a good look at him. John Frankham knows this horse's relations very well. He rode the Dam over hurdles. LBO made up into a great sprinter last year. He finished 3rd in the July Cup. This season he's had 3 runs, hasn't seemed in quite the same form, although he did win in France first time out. There were excuses made for him at Ascot in some quarters, but I thought he was beaten on merit that day.
Yeah, he's a horse who probably likes to be, well, in fact, does like to be held up for a late run, and although he was held up at Ascot, certainly had to come wide and come round quite a lot of horses. Wasn't beaten that far in the end, and that's the thing about these sprints. A lot of the end result is judged by luck in running. Very often a couple of lengths will cover 6 of these. That's Shelford. One of the 2 Richard Hannon runners. The other, of course, Mr. Brooks, who's joined in this year after winning at Tipperary.
I know the jockeys are always relieved at this stage, John, when they do, the lead rein is taken off and they can turn and canter down, because horses are, they're not clever animals, but they're animals that recognise a routine, and they know usually when they come out onto the paddock and out of the paddock onto the track and jockey the colours, the atmosphere, that they're usually going to canter off. And for some of them, it's a little bit puzzling that they haven't broken free. They've been led around.
Jim, what do you put the improvement in Shalford's form down to? I mean, he's improved through leaps and bounds this year. He ran in the Guineas, admittedly, over a mile last year, but Sheikh Al Badou left him a long way behind when they met last season.
You couldn't put them in the same parish last season. Overall, Shalford was a little bit disappointing. He had one tremendous performance. That was at Ascot in the Diadem Stakes, where he spread eagle to field on very bad ground. We're looking at Pursuit of Love, who's just not terribly keen to canter back. But he's, in the past, seemed a horse with a lovely disposition. I think it's just a momentary thing. There he is. He's broken off now. happily enough for Paddy, although he isn't moving that well, and I know Henry Cecil's always felt that a little bit of give in the ground. Not an impressive mover, is he?
No, he's not. He's quite a quick action little horse, and as soon as they hit the rising ground, I think it'll suit him, but he doesn't actually look as he's just quickening up there slightly. Doesn't look as though he's feeling sore or anything like that. Never really looked happy when we saw him at Kempton, and the ground was an awful lot firmer than it is here this afternoon. Looks in good form with himself, certainly not without a chance. Well, as he makes his way down to the start with the others, let's take a betting show.
And Pursuit of Love in the market at 7-1, back from 8. Sheikh Albadoo now the 15-8 favourite, with Shelford on 9-4. Wolfhound at 6 is. LBO is 9-1, back from 10s. Mr. Brooks on 14s. Paris House 33-1. And Tabab at 40s, the outsider. They're all quoted for the July Cup.
Mr. Brooks and Lester Piggott, combination that have run well on 2 occasions in England this season. Firstly behind Shalford in the Duke of York Stakes, and then in the Kingsdown Stakes behind Sheikh Albadoo.
Good looking horse this, in the familiar colours of Paul Green. Got some good jumpers and quite a few good flat horses as well. And he's travelled really well in both of those races that we've seen him in this year, just not quite good enough. Unfortunately, came up against Sheikh Albadoo on the last occasion and Shalford at York.
Actually, John, I suppose he was sent over here because although I think there's 7 group races in France and only 2 or 3 in Ireland of any significance, sprinters really do get more opportunities over here, and yet some people say there aren't enough sprint races for our top speedsters. This is, in my view, has always been just about the best one of the year, although the Vernon's, or what was the Ladbroke Trophy, has been of a particularly high standard over the last couple of years. That's reverted to type to Vernon's this season, Ladbroke's having dropped sponsorship of it. Well, old Fatso reckoned that Sheikh Albadoo was going to go off favourite. It looks like he's right. What are they backing now?
I think it certainly will do, Jim, but because it's the public horse, the public like Sheikh Albadoo, that's why they're on it 15-8 from 2-1. It did close into 13-8 at one time, and 46 favourites have won in 92 runnings of the July Cup this century. But very strong support against it for Shalford from 5-2 into top of the head 9-4. They're betting against Shalford. 11-2 bar, that brings in the Wolfhound. And if you think a horse 4th in the King's Stand can't win the July Cup, well, Secret Step in 63 did it. For Jeff Lewis rode it, Paul Mellon, the owner, Ian Balding, the trainer, trying to emulate Secret Step, that Wolfhound. Very strong too, support Pursuit of Love. From 8-1 into 7-1 now, Pursuit of Love. 9 LBO, and 14 and 16 Mr. Brooks. And Lester Piggott has won this race 9 times. The first time he won it was on Vigo in 1957. Double carpet against Paris House and 50-1 Tab, but 15-8 the field. They're going to Sheikh Albadoo. Top of the head Shalford. Not much between the two in the betting or in the race, methinks.
Well, they are our team. Under instructions from the boss, have shown you a close-up of Paris House's drop noseband. John, just explain the mechanics of that again, as opposed to a normal one.
Well, what it is the drop noseband actually fastens around underneath the bit you can see there. An ordinary noseband is nothing really more than show. Some trainers like to run them in a noseband, some don't. The drop noseband does have a purpose. It stops the horse from opening its mouth or cocking its jaw on some occasions, and of course that normally helps the jockey or prevents him from getting run away with on some occasions. He's gone in there. He ran really well up at Doncaster, this horse, and he got beaten by Montbleu on the Rowley Mile course, Paris House I'm talking about, and maybe he was just under a little bit of a cloud, because about that time Jack Berry's horses were just beginning to go down with some sort of a virus. He came back, made a lot of the running at Ascot, so maybe he's not totally out of it. Let's have a look now at the latest betting. 15-8 Sheikh Albadoo, Shalford 9-4, Wolfhound 5-1, the rest are 13-2. Wolfhound is just going in after Pursuit of Love. When he's in, they're all in. It's a fascinating July Cup. Let's joy Graham.
So that's it, they're set. Pursuit of Love 13-2 at the off. They break away, good level break. Paris House just missed the kick. That might help him. Tabab running fast. LBO fast. Sheikh Albadoo on the outside. Paris House the rail. And as they go through the first furlong, it's Shelford and Tabab who share the early running. Shelford the right, Tabab the left. Half a length back to Sheikh Al Badou, tucked away Paris House the rail, followed through by Pursuit of Love, Wolfhound on the outside, and then comes LBO. Mr. Brooks is outpaced, and they come down past the 4. The pace is strong. Shelford in the pale jacket, Tabab the dark colours on the outside, still stride for stride. Paris House has got a run through on the rail. Sheikh Al Badou cruising in behind, good cruising speed that horse. Come down towards the 2, Shelford and Tabab from Sheikh Al Badou. Paris House the rail, LBO Pursuit of Love and Wolfhound, and Mr. Brooks the back marker. Look at Sheikh Al Badou in the white jacket as they pass the 2. Shelford shaking up. Paris House running the rail, is running a big race. Mr. Brooks, a horse with a white face, starts to pick up 2, but they come inside the final furlong, and it's Sheikh Al Badou to home. Sheikh Al Badou pressed on the outside by Mr. Brooks, who's unleashing a big run, and Mr. Brooks has come to take Sheikh Al Badou. Can the Sheikh fight back? Pursuit of Love is flying at the death at the line. A photo of Mr. Brooks, Pursuit of Love from Sheikh Al Badou, with LBO back in for a big break to Paris House, and then came Wolfhound. Shelford dropped away to beat only 1, and that one last of all was Tabab. And so Leicester has won the July Cup, this Group 1 race, on number 2, Mr. Brooks, in the colours of Paul Green. This one, the probably lesser fancied of the Richard Hannam pair, ridden by Lester Piggott, and the determined drive to get there in the closing stages. The judge calls a photo, but no doubt about it. Second horse home was Pursuit of Love, who came running through on the rails to deprive Sheikh Al Badou of second place. Sheikh Al Badou has to settle for 3rd, and the 4th horse home is LBO. So Leicester on the wide outside gets to work on Mr. Brooks, who's winning his 6th race from 17 attempts. Comes a bit close to Sheikh Al Badou there, and Pursuit of Love on the extreme right under Pat Edery. That horse is flying through the final furlong, but it's Mr. Brooks and Lester Piggott who gain the day. Lester looks round, he's pipped both Pat and Walter Swinburne, and has landed the July Cup at 16-1.
Well, a tremendous finish here. As we go into the dip, they're queuing up to take on Shelford and Tabab, and to be honest, they both fold up pretty tamely. Over on the rails, Paris House. It's a question of whether he'd last out. Well, he doesn't, in fact, up the hill. And now Sheikh Al Badou been cantering at this point, and look behind him. Pursuit of Love, who doesn't get a clear run at all, checked at a vital stage in what's supposed to be a test of speed, is a test of speed, has to start again. On the outside, Mr. Brooks comes, but at this moment, you'd have thought Sheikh Al Badou was going to lengthen and take it.
I thought that he'd hold on up here. He's probably a length clear of the field at this stage with half a furlong to run. But Mr. Brooks coming on this side, he didn't get to Sheikh Al Badou when they met at Ascot last time, but certainly he's quickened up past this horse in the last 100 yards. And Pursuit of Love, who quickened up when they hit the rising ground after not getting any sort of a run, has done well. I think he just takes second place off of Sheikh Al Badou. But on the line, it's Mr. Brooks, and as Mike Dillon of Ladbroke said, you didn't allow for the Leicester factor.
A tremendous result for the bookmakers. Mr. Brooks looks to have won it, returned at 16-1 against Mr. Brooks, and if it has, it's the second longest price winner ever of the July Cup. 20-1 Sir Cosmo in 1930, and 2 other 100-6 16-1 winners, Parsimony in 72 and Lucas Land in 66. 16-1 Mr. Brooks. It did touch 20-1. Pursuit of Love looks to be the runner-up, 13-2, flying at the finish. And second here, Pursuit of Love, well, My Swallow, 3rd in the 2,000 guineas, 2nd in the July Cup. My Swallow in 71 did that, and it looks as though Sheikh Al Badou is 3rd, the 15-8 favourite. But that Mr. Brooks, Lester Pickett's 10th winner in the July Cup, and here comes the result now. Here it comes. Mr. Brooks wins the races.
Second, number 7.
Pursuit of Love 2nd.
3rd, number 4.
And Sheikh Al Badou is 3rd.
Number 1. 5th, number 6. And 6th, number 8. 3rd, number 2, Mr. Brooks. 2nd, number 7, Pursuit of Love. 3rd, number 4, Sheikh Al Badou. And 4th, number 1, LBO. 5th, number 6, Paris House. 6th, number 8, Wolfhound. The distances were ahead.
Paul Green there in the Panama hats. He's put an awful lot of money into racing, both flat and jumping, and it's really rewarding to see him getting a little bit of it back. Big smile there from Leicester. Carville's Hill colours.
Today he was doing the stalking.
Doing most of the stalking and in the end doing most of the sprinting. Well, we all thought that Richard Hannon would win this, but we didn't realise that it was going to be with Mr. Brooks. And we've said before, these sprinters, their form goes in and out, and their turn normally comes round. He's been second to both Sheikh Albadou and Shalford in his past 2 runs, so maybe his turn was due. Given a lovely ride by Leicester. These sprints all revolve around timing.
Jenny Green, wife of Paul Green, is here. Beginning of the year, of course, Carville's Hill at Cheltenham. You must have thought that was more likely than Mr. Brooks at Newmarket.
Yes, we did. Yes.
How likely did you think this was today?
I think we had great hopes of him, yes, because he's run some very good races, and we've always been second, so, you know, always, what is it, always the bridesmaid, so it was lovely.
And did you have long, in-depth conversations with the jockey beforehand?
No, not at all. No, I just said hello.
And did he seem confident to you, or was it difficult to read his thoughts?
Yes, he didn't really say very much.
Well, that is his way, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
But it's extraordinary to see him all these years on still riding so brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant, yes, yes. I've only met him. Today was the second time, so, you know, but yes, he's done a good job today.
And Jenny, this is so different from the unsettling pleasure at Cheltenham. Of the 2 codes, which do you prefer?
Well, I really like the National Hunt, but today, you know, what more can I say, really?
You could grow to like this, I imagine.
I could, yes. Very much so, yes. Absolutely thrilled.
Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Brooks, believe it or not, actually ran in the Derby, but that's not a unique thing about a July Cup winner, because Ashdal did the same. His pedigree is by the Australian horse Blazing Saddles out of Double Finesse, and so his pedigree will, or his breeding, will give cause for celebration in Newmarket, because bred by the Rossdales, Mr. Rossdale, a well-known and well-respected veterinary surgeon. And Alex Scott will have a wry smile because he actually trains the half-sister to this, Kennedy's Prima, and the dam Double Finesse won at up to a mile, and she's produced several winners, including Larionov, who was a good horse that John Winter trained. Well, he was a big price, the biggest price, Max said, for many years, winning the July Cup. JT will confirm it.
Yes, indeed, Jim. The winner, number 2, Mr. Brooks, returned at 16-1. Second, number 7, Pursuit of Love, 13-2. And third, number 4, Sheikh Albadou, the 15-8 favourite. The 2 dividends win 12.40, places 170, 140 and 140 again. The dual forecast came to £31.50 and 8 rhyme.
Second, number 7, Pursuit of Love, 13-2. Third, number 4, just a win.
And so, after this astonishing but brilliant performance by Mr. Brooks, the trophy presentation, there'll be happy scenes again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he never ceases to amaze us. What a tremendous victory there for Lester Piggott and Mr. Brooks in our feature event of the 3-day July meeting, the Group 1 July Cup. We have a magnificent trophy to present to the winning owners of Mr. Brooks. And to make that presentation, we're delighted to welcome Sir Thomas Pilkington, Chairman of Newmarket Racecourses Trust. And receiving that trophy, we're going to invite Mrs. Jenny Green, wife of Paul Green, and Mrs. Claire Gallagher to come forward to receive the trophy. Congratulations, ladies.
SP for Nottingham, the 325, won by number 5, Breeze Away, 8-1 joint favourite. Second, number 16, Miss Brightside, 14-1. Third, number 6, Cash a Million, 20-1. And third, number 12, Glen Lane, again at 20-1. Number 18, Dream's Eyes, was the other joint favourite. The tote dividends win 13.70, places 380, 250, 360 and £6.90. The dual forecast came to £43.60. Non-runners were numbers 4 and 24, and 24 run.
And it's amazingly how popular Lester Piggott is with the smaller punters. Now, a 16-to-1 chance has gone and won the big race. They've beaten all the favourites. And look at the crowd queues here. Hi, Fred Delmain. People drawing on Leicester, are they? Yeah, good old Leicester. You still won on the race.
Of course we won.
Yeah, of course they won on the race. 16-to-1 winner. Book is going back it back. But it's absolutely extraordinary. The queues round the bookmakers. Normally they could have almost hoped for a Skinner with a horse like Mr. Brooks winning. And it is, as I said, Lester Piggott's 10th July Cup winner. The last time he won it was Moorstyle in 1980 and back to 1960 with Tin Whistle. Twice Right Boy in 59 and 58. Vigo in 57. 35 years on, he comes back, Lester Piggott. Bookmakers not complaining. They're having to pay out, but it's still a great winner for them.
Very generously offered to donate his entire signing fee to the Bob Champion Cancer Trust, a charity with which Rosenfield often work very closely.
Bob Champion receiving £15,000 for the Bob Champion Trust from Lester Piggott. 15,000.
Congratulations, Lester. Well done today. I think Mr. David Rowe, the managing director of Rosenfield, has got a special prize for Lester.
There you are, Lester. Copy for home. Congratulations on the July Cup. Thank you for doing it.
Lester, I'll hold on to that. While we're here, David. Lester, many congratulations, Lester. You beat all the favourites again. It's something you like doing, yes?
Well, he's always been a good horse, and he really showed it today, you know.
And you, obviously, the old clock hasn't gone wrong in your head. You gave them a lot of start, middle of the race. They must have been going quick.
Well, not really, you know. I was always just behind, you know, right on the heel to it. And I knew he'd pick up there when I asked him, you know.
And those last 50 yards, it was all pretty tight. The winning post was coming at you. Do you think the others would take you, or were you always...
Well, it was just hanging a bit on the hard ground. You know, I just had to keep him straight, that was all. You know, I just still had a bit left, you know.
Well, you have got a bit left there. You've got a bit left for Bob Champion. It's a tremendous thing that Bob's done for this cancer trust, isn't it?
Fantastic, yeah. And, you know, it's a marvellous feat to get all that money together, you know.
And Bob, a bit of a marvellous feat, this man continuing.
Well, he keeps going, you know, but I don't think I'm going to come back, so I'm younger than him and I'm not coming back, so he's brilliant. You know, the thing that really is amazing, I feel, that he's still got the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, to be right in there among it. It takes a lot of courage and nerve. You know, flat jockeys, they race very, very tight. You need an awful lot of bottle, and he's got it.
I think it's, of all the things, we were just talking earlier, John Oaksey and Frank Frankham and I, that's the one thing that hasn't seemed to go on at all, does it? Well, you'd think he'd be a bit more wary now.
Well, I'm sure if I came back, I'd be very, very wary if I was going to an open ditch. But, you know, he's still in there. They race very tight on the flat, and he's still right amongst them.
Amazing. Anyway,
it is
Bob,
amazing.
It's great to see you too, even if you're not as slim as he is.
Thank you, Rob.
Bob Champion, who does so much for the Bob Champion Trust, and Lester Piggott's sense of humour. Still got a few hats over our heads, but we'll take a break.
We like a sophisticated soiree, me and Ron.
What you got?
So we make sure we always have sophisticated breath with clarets.
Hey, look, Ron, it's a masked ball.
Because only clarets have actors on.
To help neutralise nastiness.
Minty! Here, Ron, I think she wants to get fresh with you.
Clarets. Great tasting regular or sugar-free mints and gum.
With work you try to put money by. The choice of accounts is wide. And with the wallets you've saved, so the way will be paid to leave all your worries behind.
In a changing world, it's good to be with the Woolwich.
With New Sun Progress, you only need half the normal amount. And because it works, like dozens of hands, to give everything that personal touch, it's the best micro dishwasher powder you can buy. With Sun Progress, you're in good hands.
Kellogg's Special K low-calorie breakfast. Get the taste, get the shape.
What makes M&M's the champion chocolate of the Olympic Games? Could it be the delicious milk chocolate, or the crispy, colourful shell? Or the pleasure of sharing? Or simply because with M&M's the milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand? M&M's, official sponsor of the Olympic Games.
Good evening, washing. Welcome to Whirlpool Aqualine Wash Programme 5. When the programme begins, you'll be free to move about the drum. Thank you. Oh, and for your interest, our water intake is automatically adjusted to suit your size and type, saving water and energy. For first-class washing, we recommend Persil Micro Liquid. We use only a little because it's so concentrated. And the forecast here is brilliant. Do wash with the Whirlpool Aqualine and Persil Micro Liquid again soon. We're pleased you arrived, bright and fresh.
That's why we like electric showers, don't we? Spontaneous, that's what we like 'em.
Yeah, I'm all muddy and scampering around, and Mum goes, "Get in that shower," so I goes, "Oh yeah, shower." Meow, straight upstairs and into the shower.
Yeah, well, what I like about it, especially in summer, is that it's quick and you save money. You don't have to put the heating on.
Brilliant. What we can do with technology today.
For all your creature comforts, shower electric.
Well, not surprisingly, there are a few hard luck stories, not very serious ones in many cases, although there is one serious one. Frankie Dettori was really perfectly happy on the LBO. He said he tracked Sheikh Albadou and they just went too fast for him into the dip. Michael Roberts on Shalford said that Tabab took him on much too much in the early stages, and Shalford just simply did too much. Walter Swinburne on Sheikh Albadou didn't really have any excuses, or didn't make any excuses. He would have liked to lead for a little bit longer. But the one serious hard luck story, and it's not just because I'm wearing an apricot rose, but let's have a look at Pursuit of Love. Pat Eddery said that he was seriously stopped just before the 2 furlong pole, and if you look now, you'll see Tabab in the blue colours, I imagine, was dropping back in front of Pat. You saw Pursuit of Love switched across there. Now he switches back and has the daylight, and from there on in, he's gaining all the way to the line. But that is not the sort of thing that you want to have happen to you in a top-class sprint, and it's absolutely no surprise that Pat Eddery was a bit depressed about that incident as he came back.
A result from Redcar, the 350, won by number 6, Farmer's Ped, 7-4 favourite. Second, number 1, 3 Wells at 3-1. And third, number 2, Brodessa, returned at 9-2. The Tope 220 for the win. The places 130 and £1.80. The dual forecast came to £3.50. A non-runner here was number 5 and 7 ran. And at Avery, the 3 o'clock, the Pre-Chloe was won by number 5, Formidable Flight. Second, number 10, Saratoga Sauce. And third, number 7, Ferribili. Non-runner was number 2, a 10 ran.
The Saratoga Sauce, a runner from Ian Balding's Kingsclear Yard, ridden by the talented American Corey Black, who's hanging in, even though he's lost his main job in France, hanging in there. Saratoga Sauce, second to the Eric Legree ridden Formidable Flight.
A very happy event took place this morning a mile away at the National Stud, just in front of Mill Reef's beautiful statue. It was the presentation of the Tim Dunlop Memorial Award, the award given each season to the top student on the 5-month course which they run for people interested in breeding from all over the world at the National Stud. Miles Littlewhite, the manager of the National Stud, introduced the presentation by Sue Dunlop, John's wife, and of course Tim's mother.
This is the 6th year that the National Stud has run a stud management student training course. It is also the 6th year that the trustees of the Tim Dunlop Memorial Appeal have presented the prize to the top student. The trustees of the appeal, Richard Pilkington and Sir Francis Brooke, have been a great help to us and in perpetuating the memory of Tim Dunlop. This year, the runner-up for the prize was Mr. Libor Hatchik from Czechoslovakia, who hopes to go on to Australia. And the winner is Mr. Leo Clear, who is presented with not only a diploma from the National Stud, but also a Philip Blacker medal and a ticket to America.
Gentlemen, many congratulations to you both on these awards. First of all, Libor, you were the runner-up, and I think you're the first from Czechoslovakia to be on this course.
Yes, it is true.
And were you working with horses back home?
Yeah, I live in Stad, and I like to work with horse, and I try to do my best for work horse or something like this.
And when you leave here, will you go back and work in a stud?
No, I go back to college. I still in the college now.
Oh,
I break for my college for 1 year and go out for experience only.
Oh, I see. How long a course is that?
This for 6 years.
And a college where?
Where is in Brno. One big town in Czechoslovakia.
And you have 2 more years?
Yes, 2 more years.
And then what will you do?
I don't know. I will see what I do.
The winner of the award, the 6th winner, many congratulations to you. You're only the 2nd man to have won it. Always been ladies up till now. Leo, what do you feel that you've got out of the course here at the National Stud?
I think on the course we've had a mixture of practical work, working in the yards, and also we've had lectures, some top-class lectures, and 55 lectures altogether during the year. Some of the top people in the business. And we've had a wide range of outside visits to other studs and racing yards. So we've had a good blend of practical experience and theoretical.
So it's
learning.
been well worthwhile.
Yes, we've all learned a lot from the course.
And now you've won a year in America.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Do you know where you're going now?
I think it'll be Lane's End Farm or Three Chimneys. We're not sure yet.
More great stallions.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to go out there.
Well, many congratulations to both of you, and the very best of luck in the future. Let's hope you have to do with something nearly as good as Mill Reef.
And here's some news from Nottingham. The SP of the 4 o'clock, won by number 1, Joy of Racing, the 6-4 on favourite. Second, number 4, My Bonus, 4-1. And third, number 3, Isotonic at 16-1. 6 round.
And now the Ladbrokes Bunbury Cup, arguably the most competitive, certainly the biggest field we've had at this 1992 July meeting. What a way to close it. There are no less than 20 runners up the 7 furlong straight here. Quite a lot for Graham Goode, a nightmare for most of us, but he takes it in his stride. Graham.
Stride shortening, Bruff. Number 1, Knight of Mercy, the top weight, ridden by Bruce Raymond. Number 2, Go Executive Brett Doyle, claims 5. Number 3, Deprecator, ridden by Ray Cochrane. And number 4, High Low, ridden by Pat Edery. Number 5, Mango Manila, Steve Cawthon. Number 6, Consigliere, Paul Edery. Number 7, Gentle Hero, Jason Weaver, claims a 5. Number 8, Ringland, ridden by Lester Piggott. Number 9, Field of Honour, Frankie Dettori. 10, Ashton, Walter Swinburne. 11, Mutabahi, Willie Carson. And number 12, Super Brave, John Carroll. Number 13, Sir Boodle, John Reed. 14, Nordic Brave, Alan Munro. 15, Shiver Mitchell, Visor, Richard Hills rides. Number 16, Superoo, Billy Newns. 17, Desert Splendor, Michael Roberts. Number 18, Owner's Dream, David Harrison claims a 5. 19, Running Glimpse, Francis Norton claims a 3. And number 20, Affordable, the mount of Jim Quinn. So they're down at the start. Let's check.
And Desert Splendor heads a predictably open market at 8-1. Super Brave is 9-1 back from 10s. And High-Low steady on the 10-1 mark. Mango Manila 11-1. And Conciliar is 12-1 back from 11s. Field of Honor also a 12-1 shot. Deprecator, Gentle Hero, Ringland and Subaru all on 14s. Knight of Mercy 16-1 and 20-1 bar.
The stripes there, John Carroll on Super Brave, and if you like silly coincidences, and why should John McCurrick be alone in that, this is the one for you, because the last 3 years this race has been won by a trainer called Jarvis, by Michael Jarvis the last 2 years, and 3 years ago by William Jarvis with Valdemiro. William, of course, trains Super Brave. Well, he's a horse who, last time out, ran against Nordic Brave, another Brave at Newcastle, over the same 7-furlong trip. This time the weights are adjusted 2 pounds in Nordic Brave's favour. Look at this finish and ask yourselves if 2 pounds will turn the tables.
Duckington definitely going to play a hand as they come below the distance. Nordic Brave being tackled strongly by Duckington. Sharpelder makes a run, so too Super Brave on the extreme outside, but it's nip and tuck between Nordic Brave and Duckington, and Super Brave finishes best of all. Super Brave coming to mow them down, close home, and it's Super Brave and John Carroll.
Lester Piggott being put into the saddle here on Ringland. He won the Bunbury Cup 2 years running, 82 and 83. And Ringland had today's rival, Gentle Hero, way adrift when he won last time out at York. There's an 8-pound turnabout in the weights today, but it's surely not enough.
And now it's Lester Piggott on Ringland in the purple cap that goes to home. But the Super Benz will not be denied the rail. Sharpelter with the striped sleeves is going to finish fast. But it's Ringland and Leicester as they race up towards the line. And it's Ringland in the lead from Super Benz. And Ringland's going to hold Super Benz. And that's the line. Ringland takes it. Ringland, Super Benz, and Rockton North for 3.
Yeah, Leicester in winning action on Ringland at York. But the proximity of the third horse there, Sharpalto, trained by Mary Reevely, measured against, for example, the form that he showed against Super Brave at Newcastle, means that Ringland's got plenty of improvement to find to win this again. But he does appear to be improving.
He's improving. He comes from a stable that's been in good form all year. 19 winners now, Patrick Haslam. And he's used Leicester on many occasions. Most of Leicester's winners, in actual fact, have been supplied by Patrick. In good form with himself. Mango Manila and Steve Caulton just walking through there. We've seen them win already this season. Then the green and yellow striped colours. Let's have a look now at the Lincoln winner, High-Low. Looked really well. Nice horse, likes to hear his feet bouncing off the ground. Made every post a winning post at Doncaster. Ran well at Ascot on ground. It's probably a little bit soft for him after that. And then last time ran at Ascot behind Colour Sergeant.
Well, we're having a look at the steward's box, looking down the course. Head-on position, looking for problems that might result in them having to call an inquiry. Stewards and their stipendiaries watch from a variety of positions, trying to ensure that they cover as much as possible. There's Michael Roberts on number 17, Desert Splendor, a horse that on the pick of his form throughout his career is absolutely thrown in here. Had his first run for a long time. Last week at Yarmouth was just pipped, but John Frankham's got a theory about that.
Well, very often when horses run quickly after being off for some time, they don't normally reproduce their form. This horse looked really well beforehand. It'll be interesting to see how he runs. Plenty of money for him. And Annabelle Royale was ridden by Michael Roberts on that occasion. Michael got them out this afternoon on Desert Splendor. They're loading up quite quickly now. The Chestnut Consigliere going in there with Paul Edry on board. There's a lovely horse there being led round by Ray Cochrane. That's Deprecator, but well, there's half a dozen or more left to go in. Let's have some late news from Mac.
And
15-2.
And Deprecator is a 14-1 chance. They're now going 7-1 the field. That's Desert Splendor in from 14 in the offices, but High-Low has been backed from 10-1 into 15-2. Second best High-Low, challenging for favouritism. 9-1 against Super Brave and 10-1. Horse like Consigliere, Field of Honour's an 11-1 chance, and it's 16-1 Owner's Dream, and Ringland has been put in at 14-1, and Lester Piggott has won it 5 times, but the horses for money. Desert Splendor, 7-1 favourite, 15-2 High-Low, from 10-1, 9-1 Bar 2.
This Deprecator's a horse that very often races up with the pace, and I think that's a problem for anybody that's back to front runner, John, because there's 5 or 6 here. They could really go from the stalls and basically cut each other's throats.
Yeah, they're sure to go a good clip, and plenty of times in the past we've seen horses, though, that have come from behind and just been really unlucky in running. When you get 4 or 5 going on, sometimes it spreads them out so that if you're on a horse that's coming from behind, you've got somewhere to weave your way through. Mango Manila, one of the last ones to go through. I think High-Low's just about last to go in. So let's go and join Graham.
And the trip is 7 furlongs for the Ladbroke Bunbury Cup. Desert Splendor at 7-1, High-Low 8-1. Breakaway right across the track. Cheva Mitchell, Knight of Mercy, and Mutabahi on the right. On the left, it's Running Glimpse and Deprecator showing fast, and Gentle Hero, and also up at the pace is Desert Splendor and Ringland in the left-hand group. And they go through the first quarter mile with Cheva Mitchell running the rail on the far side, followed by Nordic Brave and High-Low. Down the centre of the track, it's Running Glimpse who's keeping company with Desert Splendor, Ringland just off the pace. Owner's Dream on the left-hand group now, but they're all sort of bunching as they come down towards the 4 and electing to go far side. Cheva Mitchell is the runner on the rail. Nordic Brave on the outside. High-Low with a black cap. Desert Splendor on the stand side. Running Glimpse with a starred sleeve you can just spot. That's running very fast indeed. Affordable just off the pace. Super Brave with quite a bit of running to do. So too Go Executive. Gentle Hero gets reminders. And up with the pace now, Consigliere with a yellow cap. And they come past the 2. It is Consigliere that goes on from Running Glimpse in second. And Consigliere has taken 3 out of the field. Here comes the top weight Knight of Mercy through into second place. Astrid on the outside with a run. Subaru with a run inside the final furlong. And Consigliere is looking a tired horse. Down the centre of the track, Astrid putting in a big drive. So too Subaru as they race up towards the line. Consigliere just going to hold it. Consigliere is the winner. A photo, Astrid, Knight of Mercy and Subaru. 2, 3, 4. Then Super Brave and Mutabahi. And these are followed home by Running Glimpse. And then the field trail back to Deprecator. And the last horse to pass the post was probably Desert Splendor. And so the result of this, the Ladbroke Bunbury Cup, it's a win for horse number 6 on the far rail. That's Consigliere, owned by Terry Ellis, the 10-1 winner of this Ladbroke Bunbury Cup. Trained by Roger Charlton, ridden by Paul Edery. Of course, Terry Ellis is the man who looks after Pat Edery. It's a close call, though. Also in that photo is Ashton, number 10, the man of Walter Swinburne, and it's a desperately close thing for 3rd place. Subaru is in that photo for 3rd. But as they start the drive for the line, look at Consigliere, Paul Edery, the yellow cap, just 1 off the rails. Top weight Knight of Mercy is also in that photo for 3rd. But it's Consigliere, the rails, in the yellow cap, Paul Edery. Must have had a lot of horse in him. He suddenly went clear with 2 to go, but it must have been a very, very long way home inside the final furlong. Bruce Raymond on the top weight Knight of Mercy, the yellow colours. Pale blue colours, that's Subaru. Astrid on the extreme left. Super Brave back in about 5. Yet another tremendously exciting finish, and for Consigliere supporters it seemed the post would never come, because having taken the race by the scruff of the neck under firm handling from Pat Edery, the horse lengthening really well as he asked him to go, pursued by Cheva Mitchell, then Knight of Mercy, it looked as though one of the others from the pack is sure to get him up the hill.
Yeah, he's really stuck on well to his guns, and he's riding good form at the moment. And his stride is already beginning to shorten. Knight of Mercy, who's lumbered with top weight of 10 stone. I thought he was going to get tired. He's plugged on really gamely, this horse. Running Glimpse, the only filly in the field, begins to tire. And on this side, Astren beginning to make his challenge. Subaru coming from behind, and in the yellow colours there in the middle, just coming along as well. That's Knight of Mercy there, second with you just see the orange of his noseband. But Consigliere, Paul Edry there, riding for his Pat's brother-in-law, just holds on. He'll be well pleased with that performance, I should think. And on that judgment, it looks as though Astren was second.
First number 6, Consigliere at 10-1. Second number 10, Astron 33-1. Third number 1, Knight of Mercy 16-1. And the fourth horse, number 16, Superoo, returned 11-1. Number 17, Desert Splendor, was a 7-1 favourite, and 20 ran.
The end of the day, the end of the July meeting, and if the weather hasn't quite given the sunshine it promised, we've certainly had the usual excitement on the track, especially today. So the July Cup belongs to Mr. Brooks and Lester Piggott. The Speed Beauty won it. We'll close the programme. The other winners didn't hang about either.
As they come down to the 2, and Arkinglass just going on. Arkinglass, the leader from Chamis and the rail. Here comes Human, the horse with the noseband on the outside of White Crown. But it's Arkinglass and Pat Eddery going for home now. A length to the good over Human. And back in third is White Crown. And Arkinglass really picking up well and stretching on the ground. Up towards the line, Arkinglass is going to win it. Human flat to the boards, but Arkinglass is the winner. Arkinglass takes it from White Crown in second, Human third. And it's Bonnie Scott who has the call. But Briar Creek is getting going again, and Rain Rider, the black and white colours on the outside. That's the loose horse, Goldsmith's Hall, running the rail, but they've just got over a furlong to go. And it's Bonnie Scott in the lead, but Rain Rider is putting in a big finish. This Progressive horse is coming to take Bonnie Scott, but Bonnie Scott fights back and finds more. So too Rain Rider. It's a duel to the line, and Rain Rider's going to get there at the line. Rain Rider is the winner. They come down to the 2, these two dueling. Efaristo, Wellington Rock picking up nicely in the very pale jacket. Sharty follows up one through. Little Beam with a bit of running to do. And Efaristo comes to join the front rank. They come down to the final furlong. But Big Leap has come through on the rails. Big Leap, the rail runner, Efaristo. And from nowhere, Little Bean has come to pounce. And inside the final half furlong, it's Little Bean who's going to get there. Little Bean wins it tidily in the end. A photo second.
A rundown on the winners at Newmarket this afternoon. The 2 o'clock won by number 2, Arkinglass at 7-2. The 2:35 by number 6, Rain Rider, 9-4 joint favourite. The 3:05 went to number 9, Little Bean, 4-1 joint favourite. The 3:40 was won by number 2, Mr. Brooks at 16-1. And the 4:10 by number 6, Consigliere, 10-1.
And here's a happy man, Pat, the winning owner. Pat Eddery's brother-in-law and agent. Why wasn't he riding?
We made the agreement with William Haggis that we'd ride his horse early on, so we stuck to it. And, you know, we got a good one in Paul, so we're OK.
Well, they're pretty good substitute.
That's all family.
Terry, this is your first horse?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Really?
It's a good start.
Well, it beats agenting.
It is. Vic Shannon was the one that got us onto this. We was at the sales one day and he asked me if we'd do a foal share. Pat had a chair in Caerleon. So we did a foal share, and the idea was we took the horse once it was weaned, and we were going to sell it at the sales. And I went there, and just before he got struck into, cut quite badly, so he didn't really sell very well. So I talked the wife into letting me buy the half in it,
well
which is I went to buy a kitchen since, but otherwise it's all right. And it's worked out good. We liked the horse a lot, and we bought the mare afterwards.
Terry, the great race is on for the championship. Is that being a big strain on you?
No. After Steve, nothing could be a strain that year, so, you know, it's just normal. It's early to be thinking of that yet for us. September's more the time. Then we'll think about it and then see what Pat wants to do. If he wants to go on the all-weather, if it's close, then I guess we will. You know what Pat's like, he likes a fight.
Well done, Terry.
OK.
Many, many congratulations and thanks.
Thank you. Terry.
It could, as they say, go all the way. And when racing gets it right, it's got a lot more than just who beat what to offer. There can be sights and sounds to linger in the memory, especially here at Newmarket. Set to music. Well, have you got something to celebrate? Did you win down the distance? It had to be the distance between Mr. Brooks. How he won the July Cup, he won by a head. A head, did you get that right? And have you been picked in the lottery? Well, the three winners were Mr. Snutch of Great Sankey in Lancashire, £100 each, Mr. McVitie of Furness Road, Portsmouth in Hampshire, and Mr. Hudson of Luton in Bedfordshire. Thanks for playing the game.
Ethan Bredker, the 420. First number 4, first bid, 11-4 favourite. Second number 1, Hilser, 5-1. And third number 6, Doctor's Remedy at 20-1. 7 run.
Right, now I've got the happy experience of interviewing McCurrick and James Maferi from Johannesburg and Mike Dillon. Between us, we ought to get the winner of the Irish Oaks. What do you say?
Well, not being clever, user-friendly, obviously really outstayed all at sea, didn't it? But the interesting thing, Mike, is in Ireland they're going 13-8. What price will the Oaks winner, user-friendly, be on Saturday?
I'd be amazed if it wasn't odds-on, John. I mean, they've pulled 20 lengths clear of the third and the second horse hasn't stayed. The two Irish fillies, Iviana, which won the Italian Oaks, and Market Booster of Dermot Wells are the two dangers, as well as Clive Britton's other filly, Amarama, which was second at Haydock in the Lancashire Oaks. But I mean, the ground is no trouble to user-friendly.
Well, you know, you're so pleased with the rain.
Wait a second, I want to tell you something.
Yeah,
James took me into his house in Soweto, and the first thing that came out of the video recorder was your awful voice.
Well, no wonder they're riots in Soweto.
What do you think of the day, James? What do you think of the day?
Super day. It's a great racing here. It's my first time out here at Newmarket, really. Only thing that Maestro has not won a race, so...
I see.
Bad luck. Thank you very much. Thanks, all of you.
James Maferi, who does our job, he's the presenter of racing on BOP TV down in South Africa. So we spanned the globe today. We've spanned Newmarket's excitement over the last 3 days. We go to York tomorrow. The caravan moves on, as we love to say. 2:30, 4 races for you live. Circle 2:35. The AF Budge Handicap at 3:10. 3:40 the Galway Stakes and the Monk's Cross Stakes at 4:10. All the top jockeys will be up there. But we leave you with Newmarket's most famous resident, just as he had at the Guineas meeting with Rigo de Triano, coming up trumps once again. He may be an old star, but as Mr. Brooks discovered, he still shines brightest as all.
Delvia, Mr. Brooks is down-paced, and they come down past the 4. The pace is strong. But they come inside the final furlong, and it's Sheikh Al-Badou to home. Sheikh Al-Badou pressed on the outside by Mr. Brooks, who's unleashing a big run, and Mr. Brooks has come to take Sheikh Al-Badou. Can the Sheikh fight back? Pursuit of Love, it's flying at the death after line. A photo of Mr. Brooks, pursuit of...
But you